Tonight on For the Love of Cars, the Vikings are coming. Not in longboats to pillage and steal, but probably to impress us in their nice, sensible cars, with reinforced bumpers and plenty of room in the back for the children.
What's going on inside a Swedish car is unbelievable.
We're celebrating a 55-year-old love affair.
Oh, it's embarrassing.
As Ant and I get familiar with Swedish models. From their curvy and quirky beginnings to the modern Nordic hunks. Capable of anything.
I feel like a fish finger.
We'll discover how they rewrote the book on safety.
This is the dangerous bit.
Changed what we came to expect from handling and durability.
Stop wobbling the wheel.
Got our pulses racing and lit up our screens.
This is a bit of a boyhood dream for me. I was a big fan of the show.
And to prove our love endures, we're rescuing the Swedish motor where it all began.
It is destroyed.
The unique SAAB 96.
My reputation hangs on it.
Can we match the Swedes' passion for engineering?
They literally thought about everything.
Can we make the owner's family proud?
What do you think Chris would have made of this?
He would be thrilled.
And can we break world records at auction?
We got seven. So, Swedish cars. Are you a fan of Saabs and Volvos?
Well, how can I put this? They're just a bit too sensible. What I'm trying to say is, I think they're great cars if you're a person of a certain age.
You mean your age?
Yeah, people might. Thanks for that.
Look, actually, I think you're wrong. I think Saabs and Volvos are amongst some of the most revolutionary cars ever made. Plus, I've managed to find a Saab that needs restoring.
It's a Saab. Why do you want to restore a Saab? They don't sell. They don't sell at auction.
Hey,
it's a
but
Saab.
Listen, by the time I finish with it, it's going to fly at auction.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that.
Despite their low-key and sensible reputation, the Saab are a species of motor that would never have existed without a world war and deadly dogfights over Europe. Saab actually stands for Swedish Aeroplane Company. Their designers spent the Second World War building fighter planes to protect Sweden's neutrality. After 1945, the boys at Saab kept their business alive by turning their attention to cars. In 1949, they unveiled the Saab 92 prototype. Part car, part plane, and part Darth Vader's helmet. As streamlined as a jet, the world had never seen anything quite like it. And it was this shape that became the basis for all Saab cars for the next 20 years. Including the one Ant's on his way to see.
I've had a call from a guy in Scotland called John, and he's got one of the classic Swedish cars from the 60s, a Saab 96. But until I see the car, I don't know what the condition's going to be like. I've never worked on a Saab. I've certainly never worked on a Saab 96 before. Oh, you must be John.
Yeah, how you do?
Oh, man. How's it going?
Good, thanks. Aye, good.
I assume this is the car.
This is it. This is the old Saab under there.
Let's have a look then. Oh, God.
What's left of this 1973 Saab 96 once belonged to father of three, Saab lover, dog lover, and cabinet maker Chris Holmes.
We're friends for about 20 years. We had a mutual interest in Saabs, amongst other things. Chris was committed to getting rare old Saabs and putting love into them, and even when it made no financial sense, this particular car was going to be the car that he used into his retirement. A couple of years back, he was diagnosed with cancer in his throat. So it's important that, I suppose, as some kind of tribute to Chris, that this car lives on again.
John had wanted to do up the car himself, but when he lost his friend, he also lost his love for Saabs. Chris paid £570 for this 42-year-old Saab. Today, it's probably not even worth that.
It just looks really sad. It is destroyed. These seats are totally ruined.
Even for Ant, this looks a restoration too far. I wonder if it's time to admit defeat.
In fairness, the shell's actually quite strong.
I can see where this is going.
Doors dropped, but it just looks really tatty, and the colour doesn't help, but actually it's just beige. This car tells a story about ownership, and it's a story of one man's love for a particular car. And actually, Chris never saw that through. I've got to save this car. And I can. And I will.
I hope he knows what he's doing. Once complete, this car will be going to auction with the money going to Chris's family. Let's hope there's some Saab lovers in the room.
This car is crying out to be put back on the road.
Great.
And I want to do it.
Brilliant.
The 96 was the first Saab us Brits had ever seen. Launched in the UK in 1960, this strange, futuristic-looking aerodynamic wonder was so out there that it actually put many people off. We were quite happy with boxy Fords and Austins. Sales were slow, just under 550,000 over 20 years. But those attracted to this curvy Swede were incredibly loyal and often stayed faithful for life. We've pledged our future to Chris's old companion.
Got it? Yeah.
Ant's first job is to get us stripped down. Steady.
As you start to take a Saab apart, you realise the amount of level of engineering they go to. It's not like many other manufacturers where just enough is enough. With a Saab, when you reveal panels, you realise how much engineering's involved. I mean, they literally thought about everything. Oh, come on, that is awesome.
Saab's military background meant that unlike other car manufacturers who wanted you to buy a car every few years,
Got it?
Yeah.
these jet fighters on wheels were built so you could drive them forever.
The interior of this car is so good. This is a 1970s car. I've never seen a floor in a condition like this.
The weapons-grade metalwork might be intact, but this 96 hasn't been driven for years. The engine, gearbox and suspension are going to have to be completely renovated. New brakes, hydraulics and pipes need to be fitted. There's only one thing to be decided: the colour. Original but dull beige, or something a little more jazzy?
Go on and take it away.
Trouble is, the more Ant strips, the better looking this Saab gets.
With a good wax and good polish, that's back to original. That is exactly as it left the factory.
Which means coming to terms with, basically, baby vomit beige.
Okay, but that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Sticking to an original colour could make more money when our car goes for sale at one of the country's biggest auctions. Trouble is, these cars just don't get sold at auctions, so how much we're going to get is anyone's guess. A solid used Saab 96 could be bought privately for as little as £4,000. But could anyone at auction love the no-nonsense 96 like Chris did? Can I fall for its sensible charms and sober looks? Probably not. But I've got to learn to try and love this car. A car built to withstand sub-zero temperatures and punishing terrain. So what better place to appreciate the magic of the Swedish car than Scotland? But the route we're going to take is the closest thing we have to the hardest Scandinavian roads. An arduous 86-mile trek from Inverness to Applecross.
That's one of Scotland's sort of most dangerous, twistiest, highest roads ever.
It certainly is, but on the plus side, there's one of the finest seafood restaurants known to humanity at the end of it.
I knew there'd be a motive.
Absolutely. So what hunk of junk are we going in this time?
Nah, this is a cool car.
Sure it is. Is that it? That yellow thing?
It's custard.
It's not, it's mustard.
No, it's custard.
No, it's mustard.
Okay, it's custard. Right, this is a Saab 96. This is actually a 42-year-old car. It was actually designed to withstand hitting a moose.
What?
I'll explain later. Come on, get in. Come on, get in.
You start off doing the driving, I'll do the map reading, because I think I know where we're going. The Highlands.
Okay.
Back in 1960, when this funny-looking car gave Britain one of its first tastes of Swedish motoring, the first thing we noticed is that the gear stick was nowhere near where you'd expect it to be.
Oh my God. No. I can do second gear.
Right.
I can't do third. It doesn't go in fourth.
Right. You're not mastering this, are you?
I've got it.
You're struggling with this. What's wrong with an automatic?
Even when you got used to a gear stick where the indicator should be, you were hit by another quirk of Swedish motoring.
Stop it.
It wallows like a...
I know, and it makes me feel sick.
But this just feels like...
You stop wobbling the wheel.
Yeah, but look, it's like...
Oh.
Wow,
But that wallowing is actually the car quickly righting itself after a turn of the steering wheel. Most cars in the 60s had engines so big, the power had to go through the rear wheels to save space. The boys at SAAB thought this was inefficient, flawed engineering. So they used a small four-stroke engine which gave far better traction and handling. This geeky drive for perfection ended up giving the 96 some desperately needed sex appeal when this most unlikely of cars took the glamorous world of motorsport by storm. It was entered into the 1960 RAC Rally. Less powerful than its rivals, its handling combined with its plane-like aerodynamics saw it shock the rallying world with an outright victory. Not just in 1960, but for 3 years running. Behind the wheel was Swedish rallying legend Erik Karlsson.
The Saab was very good.
86-year-old Erik's career spanned 3 decades in the Saab 96. He won a total of 13 international rallies.
But I like to win. And I know I tried. Someone tried so much.
And today, 48 years after he drove one in anger, he's been reunited with an almost identical version of the car he loved.
The color is right. Red are the quickest Saab. I really feel home when I look in here, you know. They're fantastic. But it's nice to see they look exactly the same, really.
The reason Erik was so successful in this underpowered Saab wasn't just down to its handling and aerodynamics. He never ever lifted his foot off the accelerator.
Many good memories from this Saab. If you like driving, I don't think you can find something better. It's pity I'm so old and the seats are so small now, so I can't get in and try it.
Erik's victories made everyone look again at these strange new cars. By 1965, UK sales began to pick up. Over 500,000 Brits were behind the wheel of a car from Sweden. And now it's my turn.
Look at this fella.
Hello, young man. Yes, it's a
Hey,
Saab
man.
96.
Which gear am I in? Give me first.
You go up, that's it. Look at the sheep. Oh, God. Oh, you stalled.
Oh, no, have I?
Oh, it's embarrassing. In front of the sheep.
In front of the sheep.
Look, he's looking at me.
Yeah, never guess what. I just see those two geezers from that other cars. It's a great.
Driving's really
Yeah. Boom, boom.
Oh, God.
We're restoring the first Swedish car that Britain took to its heart, the Saab 96, on behalf of Chris Holmes, a man who dedicated his life to keeping classic Saabs on the road. In just 6 weeks, we'll auction the car to raise as much money as possible for his family. So I can begin to understand the passion Chris had for these solidly built Swedish motors. I'm about to drive the most treacherous road in Britain.
This surely doesn't go all the way over there.
It's the A890 from Inverness to Applecross.
Great sign. Road normally impassable in wintry conditions.
Welcome to the Highlands.
I like that normally, just not sort of don't even try it. Just like, well, you know, give it a go.
I wouldn't like to drive this at night.
No.
No lights.
With no lights. Oh, can you, oh, nearly. Can you imagine?
Concentrate.
You gripping the seat? Or is that my leg?
As you ascend, it gets increasingly steep and treacherous. In fact, this stretch of road sees a car rescue about once a week. I just hope we're not one of them.
Don't get any of this wrong,
Why?
because we'll die.
Okay.
Or maybe not, Anthony. Because if there is one thing I know about Swedish cars, it is this. If you do find yourself rolling over the edge of a Scottish cliff, you could do far worse than rolling over in the comforting embrace of a Swedish motor. And it's all thanks to this smartly dressed Swede, Niels Bolan, a SAAB engineer who spent the Second World War firing his friends out of cockpits. But once he'd helped SAAB invent the first ejector seat in 1958, he agreed to work for the enemy, Volvo. Volvo began life as a manufacturer of solid indestructible trucks. But when they started making cars, they weren't exactly sexy. But like Saabs, they were built like tanks. Having poached him, Volvo tasked Bolan with making drivers, like this poor bloke trying to enjoy his cigarette, just as indestructible as their motors. And over breakfast one morning, he had an idea. Thoroughly fed up having his boiled eggs break every time he put them on his toy railway, he decided to invent this, a 3-point seatbelt. Once the eggs were safe, Bolan looked around for something more lifelike to test his seatbelt on. Excuse me, madam. And found this understandably nervous-looking gentleman. Then the fun really started. I hope he took out full insurance. Once satisfied with their invention, Volvo then threw the How to Be Successful in Business rulebook out the window and gave their invention away to rival car manufacturers for free. Thanks to Volvo's generosity, an estimated 1 million people's lives have been saved since its invention. And the Swedes didn't rest there. Over the years, they'd come up with crumple zones, curtain airbags, side impact bars, whiplash protection, rear-facing child car seats, and blind spot detection. Which all goes to prove that if you're taking the high road in Scotland, take it in a Swedish car and let Ant drive. This is the dangerous bit, okay? So I'm going to let you do the driving on this.
It's for the best.
I think it's for the best. And according to Ant, there's only one last safety consideration that Swedish car manufacturers spent a lot of time thinking about.
Well, obviously this car's built in Sweden, and there are quite a fair amount of mooses in Sweden.
While our 96 was actually too early for moose testing, with Sweden experiencing on average 47,000 accidents with wild animals every year, Saab and Volvo has always taken moose very seriously.
What Saab did is they combated that by designing the car to be capable of hitting a moose. And they did it, they did the testing.
A loose moose.
Well, they used a 350 kilogram
Oh, stay on
fake
the road.
moose, and at 70 kilometres an hour, rammed it with a Saab.
And did it work?
Well, yeah, it worked, it saved the occupant.
What happened to the moose?
Yeah, the moose didn't fare well.
We're out of the mist, and there still aren't any moose. However, there are lots of middle-aged men in Lycra. Not all of them friendly.
Look at him going up the hill.
Afternoon. That's an old banger.
How dare you refer to me like that, my driving friend, sir?
Do you know I'm actually feeling a bit defensive about this old car?
I tell you what, if you want to test a car, Inverness to Applecross.
Nice drive.
I think it's been, do you know what? It's been an absolute blast.
Isn't it?
In 1960, we'd never really considered a car from Sweden. But after just a few hours in its company, even I'm beginning to see why British drivers began to think again.
They're a bit like the Swedes themselves, you know what I mean? They're solid, they're reliable, they get the job done, they go about their business quietly, methodically, and I think that's what this car does. And they like taking their clothes off. There you go. Bottom of this road, chuck a left, and we're at base camp, love.
This is the famous fish
The
restaurant.
Applecross Inn. We have a reeve.
Come on then. The Saab 96 might not be a hit with everyone, But this first taste of Swedish motoring for Britain did start something. We all got to know that the Swedes cared deeply about build quality, about our safety, and that in the right hands, their cars could be champions. All fantastic ingredients, a bit like the dinner I've driven 86 miles for, which I'll start enjoying just as soon as Ant stops talking.
It's actually a four-stroke engine. It's built by Ford, so it's hugely reliable. It's the same engine that they...
With just 4 weeks to go until auction, we've almost got the over-engineered body of our 96 ready for the paint shop. And Ant's been turning his attention to its 42-year-old four-stroke engine.
It's had a complete overhaul. Pistons, rings, gaskets, bearings, the whole lot is like a brand new engine now. Whoever buys this car at auction, we want them to pay top money. I'm doing this for Chris's family. And I want to give them the biggest check possible. And the only way we're going to do that is to make the car as brilliant as we possibly can. Like, new clutches fitted, went together with no problems. This is going to be good for a few thousand miles. It's important to get the car mechanically sound, like a glove. The fact that we've rebuilt the gearbox correctly, rebuilt the engine correctly, and now put them together with a new clutch means that the new owner of this vehicle is going to have a car that's going to run and run and run for years and years. My reputation hangs on it. Plus, Saabs are famous for being reliable.
That reputation for reliability was crucial to our acceptance of the Swedish motor. And it was forged in the depths of the Scandinavian winter, where temperatures can drop as low as -40 degrees.
At Copenhagen, the harbour froze up and altogether about 200 ships were icebound.
Swedish drivers would often wake to find their doors frozen solid, and even when they got them open, their cars wouldn't start. Fed up with walking to work, it was Saab's engineers who set out to create an engine reliable enough to start in the freezing cold, way before anyone else. That's why Ant is taking me to Millbrook Testing Ground in Bedfordshire. Manufacturers have been testing new cars here for 40 years. If cars have nightmares, this is the place they dream about.
What's in here?
Right, first of all, I need you to put this on.
What are we doing?
We're going to do some proper science. I'm going to prove to you what's going on inside a Swedish car is unbelievable. They can pretty much put up with any condition on the planet. So what we've done is I've borrowed my mate's Saab and stuck it in the freezer.
And we're going in. Wow.
Cool.
And this isn't any old freezer. This climate-controlled room is set to -32 degrees centigrade.
Wow!
It's pretty cold, isn't it?
I feel like a fish finger.
That's 9.8 degrees colder than the coldest UK winter on record.
Whew.
At these sorts of temperatures, human flesh can suffer frostbite after 30 minutes. And being rather fond of my nose and other extremities, I'm hoping this Saab 900 Turbo is going to start soon.
Let's start her up, see if it works.
Ready?
Go on, a little bit of gas. Don't let me down.
Not working!
Try again.
Even some modern cars would have trouble starting in these temperatures, and this Saab is 25 years old.
It wants to.
Go on!
It's too cold.
Well, when you consider -30, I mean, are your fingers hurting?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cold
My
in here,
eyes.
right? Your eyes are hurting too. But I'm confident the car will start, so give it another go.
What are you going to do if it doesn't?
Do you know what? I'm going to start it. Just
All
give
right.
a couple of pumps.
Here we go. Oh, not think I see a thing.
I told you! I was right. Philip,
But
I told you so. I can't see out the window, but the car started and drove out the freezer.
This is a feat of Saab's famous over-engineering. They invented a direct ignition system. When you first turned the key on a cold morning, the spark plugs were bombarded with 50 blasts of 40,000 volts, enough to burn away any ice. When you release the key, the plugs got another 1,000 blasts, just to be on the safe side. The result, when you tried again, the plugs would spark, firing the engine.
Could we put any old car into a freezer for 24 hours and expect it to start?
Absolutely not. It's about building something better than the minimum standards that it's prepared for. In the car world, of course not every car is manufactured to go to minus 30 degrees, but a Saab is. Because the people that built and designed Saabs over-engineered it so it was better than any other car. And because of that, Saab should be celebrated. Swedish cars should be celebrated. I mean, the fact that this car was frozen moments ago and we're driving it now at 95 miles an hour is a testament to how good those guys were.
And remarkably, our Sub-Zero Swede isn't just ready for the motorway.
Wow.
These Belgium Pave cobbles are designed to rattle cars to bits.
Oh, that was a bit hard.
Pummel the suspension into submission. But the Saab appears to be taking it all in its stride. Unlike somebody else's strides.
I mean, my balls are up to my throat, but other than that...
That's a proper beating though, isn't it?
I think I've just...
My legs are numb.
Just gained an octave higher, love. Oh, this is nasty. Oh, hey! What was that?
I don't know. I think it was a road tax disc. We should go round again because we can't reverse.
No, we can reverse. There's nobody here. Shush.
It's there.
Quick, get the road tool.
We've taken a Swedish car that's a quarter of a century old, frozen it overnight, and then pitted it against the toughest test site for new cars in the world. And the only thing that failed
Go on, do it.
was a dodgy tax disc holder. There are just 2 weeks to go before the auction, and we have a decision to make. Our indestructible Saab 96 revealed a pretty indigestible colour when it was stripped down. Ant calls it baby vomit beige, and unsurprisingly, he's not too keen. Our rally hero Eric claimed that red Saabs are always the fastest. Me, I just want to make as much money as we can for Chris's family. So I've sent Ant to see the only bloke that can give us a straight answer.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Very well, mate. How are you?
Our mate Chris the auctioneer.
Saab 96. So what do you think of this colour?
Well, that's absolutely a proper, correct period colour for one of these cars. That's exactly what you would have seen driving down the high street in the period. It's a great period colour.
I hate it.
Do you?
I do, but because it's so good inside, instead of doing a complete nut and bolt and a colour change, if we kept the colour, it would be a clean inside and then recommission.
What you've got here is a car that's screaming out some originality. The way the market is today, you want to grab hold of that.
Yeah, cling on
You
to
know,
it.
don't lose that, because when it's gone, it's gone.
Brilliant. Baby vomit beige it is. But despite this dubious colour, in the early 60s, Saab gained a British following with the Streamline 96. The other half of the Swedish motor industry hadn't quite broken through. Volvo persisted in trying to persuade British motorists to buy cars so boxy and dull, people would rather use them as spare bedrooms than actually drive them. Even when they launched this rather sexy-looking P1800 in 1961, they found their reputation for dullness was so entrenched, nobody really noticed their sporty new motor. But then one British gentleman threw Volvo a lifeline. Before Roger Moore was Bond or even the Aston Martin-loving Lord Brett Sinclair, he was TV hero Simon Templar, a.k.a. the Saint.
You want an autograph?
And rather sensibly, he drove a Volvo. But not just any Volvo, the P1800. And today I'm getting the chance to drive the very same car.
I'll level with you. I'll level with you. This is a bit of a boyhood dream for me. I was a big fan of the show as a kid. You know, I used to have a dinky toy of this car with the, what do you call it, the matchstick man painted on the bonnet in black. So to be driving the very first car that was used in the series of the Saint, the Volvo, is, well, to say it's a thrill is a bit of an understatement, really.
But what was a quintessentially English TV hero doing driving a Volvo? To find out, I went to Elstree Studios to meet the TV executive who put Volvo on the UK map. Johnny Goodman.
It's nice to meet you.
And you too.
Well, how did this car, the Volvo, come to be involved in such an iconic show?
Obviously, it was discussed that the Saint, Simon Templar, had to drive a car, and it needed to be something that was very, very attractive and obviously quite expensive. And I was turned down one after the other. They couldn't help us. I think Mercedes said, well, we could let you have a car for the day. And I said, day? I said, we're talking 6 months at least, possibly 12 months, and if we get lucky, longer than that.
After Jaguar also turned them down, Johnny heard about a strange new sports car in town. To check it out, he sent the man who would have to drive the car, Roger.
Well, he phoned me back the following day and said the car is a delight, beautiful looking car.
Yeah.
And so we then were the possessors of a lovely white Volvo P1800. Not only did it look magnificent, and it was very unique, people kept pointing at it and looking at it, but also it was a bloody good car. I mean, the damn thing, you know, was reliable, it started up in the morning, it didn't let us down, and we were thrilled with it.
When you think of Volvos, I suppose we think that, you know, Volvos, Saabs are a little bit boring, a bit safe, whatever, but this is sex on four wheels. This car, this is beautiful.
Making a pretty good case. I'm almost beginning to believe it myself.
The P1800's starring role in one of the biggest TV shows of the 60s transformed Volvo's fortunes, doubling sales and proving that the Swedes really could make exciting cars. And me, I think I've recaptured my youth.
The name is Templar, Simon Templar.
And that's given me an idea.
And it's me. Now listen, I've just been driving the Saint car.
What's that?
The Saint. It was a TV show in the 60s. But don't worry about it. Now the thing is, this is a fabulous car, the Volvo P1800. Okay.
Yeah,
it's got an amazing story behind it. It was an occult TV show, which you've never heard of, obviously. But I was thinking about our Saab, and I think that we need to create a kind of backstory for our Saab, because my problem with our Saab is that it's just a bit bland. Do you know what I mean?
Our Saab was never in a cult TV show, though.
Well, no, that doesn't matter. We can create something. Put your thinking cap on. Just maybe start thinking about what we can do to jazz it up a bit.
You want to make our car unique?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it needs it, you know?
Every car's got a history. We'll find ours.
I hope so, because one thing I do know about auctions is that cars with stories sell for more money. To give our Saab this sense of story, Ant's made an appointment with one of the best car upholsterers in Britain, James Sorrell.
Morning.
Morning, Ant. How you doing? What's that for?
Right, these are the Saab seats. I want you to do them in tartan.
What, these in tartan?
Yep.
Are you sure?
100%. If we just restore the Saab as a normal vehicle, it'll just be another Saab 96. But if we do it with a little bit of identity, a little bit of personality, and make something unique about it, it'll also be a reflection of Chris.
What, all these?
Yeah. So this brown kind of cotton section.
Right.
That in tartan, sides in red vinyl.
Yeah.
Get the stripes really nicely lined up. A pair of front seats.
Yeah.
Door cards as well. Tartan rear cards.
Not red.
No, all tartan. Definitely tartan. The car came from Scotland. It's got to be individual. Why, you're not sure?
No, I'm not really that sure, no. In any car that's getting restored, everything's down to the paintwork and the interior. And in my opinion, if you get one of them wrong, by colours or choice, then it will let your car down.
Tartan seats is probably a bit of a gamble, but I'm 100% set on it.
Ant's back in the workshop for his last day restoring Chris's Saab 96. In 48 hours, ready or not, it has to go to auction.
We spent weeks and weeks to get to this stage, and it all comes down to today. We've got to get everything finished now. All the chrome work, the grille, the lighting, the wiring, the interior. It is today. It has to be done. Put the bumpers on, it transforms it. It now feels a bit more classic. Plus, in the auction room, the lights are going to shine off it. It's going to look really good. Saab are famous for over-engineering their car. Isn't basic for assembly. It doesn't just bolt together like a normal car. It's just brilliant. Every hole fits every other hole. Every nut and bolt's the right size. Everything kind of bolts together.
But Saab's dedication to detail was actually a problem. Whereas other car companies brought out a new car every 5 years, Saab kept on refining and improving the 96 for over 20 years. In the fast-moving modern world of cars, that approach was unsustainable. And in 2011, Saab finally went broke.
Who needs to buy another Saab? You buy one, it's one forever.
But in 48 hours, this classic Saab will be sold with no reserve.
Yeah, that'll work.
Which means Chris's family could be left with next to nothing.
Oh, it's just like a sofa.
A tartan sofa.
I love it.
But before that, in the morning, we've got to get the seal of approval from the man that trusted us with the restoration. Chris's best friend, John.
Our work here is done.
Excellent.
I think she's beautiful.
Ant's expecting a special visitor.
I'm waiting for John, actually. He's come down from Scotland and he's going to see the Saab for the first time.
John had been looking after the car since the death of his best friend, Chris, 3 years ago. The last time John saw it 12 weeks ago, the Saab was lying neglected on a Scottish driveway, its beige paintwork faded, its interior shabby and destroyed. It was showing all the signs of a car ready not for an auction, but the scrapyard.
Good, really
Yeah?
good. Yeah.
Nervous?
I am nervous.
I'm a bit nervous.
I'm definitely keen to see what you've done.
You ready?
Yeah, of course.
Come on.
Nice, nice. So this is it?
It's the same car.
This is Chris's car, it's not just the number plates from Chris's car.
This is Chris's car.
I cannot believe what you've achieved. Looks absolutely incredible. It's actually just a bit too much for me to take in. That's why I love these things.
Obviously, when I saw Chris's car, that kind of beige, typical Saab 96 layout, I needed to do something a little bit different because I wanted it to stand out in the auction room.
Yeah. It's a nice tartan. If I was going to do a tartan interior, this is as good as I would choose.
Do you want to drive it?
I want to drive it. I want to see what
the proof is in the pudding.
How she drives, absolutely.
How does she feel?
Brilliant. It's like coming home. I'm sitting here just now wondering why on earth I don't have one of these cars at the moment. I love them. And
what would Chris
this
think
feels
of it?
brilliant. I mean, Chris would be over the moon, you know. I mean, if there's such a thing as an afterlife and he's looking down, you know, he's looking down just now smiling, he's over the moon.
Go on, give it some beans. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Everything about it feels so good. It's nice and tight. The engine's so sweet. I want it. I want this car. I love it. It's brilliant.
So next time you see this car, it's going to be in a carpeted indoor auction room and someone's going to be holding their hand up to buy it.
Aye.
John made a promise to Chris's widow to sort the Saab out. It's now about the buyer. I want someone to fall in love with that car the way I have and be as happy as John is.
It's auction day at the NEC in Birmingham. Over the next 2 days, 84,500 people will pass through this car show, and one of them could be driving away in the Saab 96.
Where is he? Oh! Here we go. He's got such a big smile, isn't he? Cheerful smile.
Look at that little beauty.
Hey!
Do you like?
Yeah. I like the tartan touch.
You like the tartan?
Yeah.
This car's just like, it's like the unsung classic, like the hidden classic. I don't know why more people aren't into these. I'll swap it for that, though.
Yeah, take that one.
Yeah.
Come on, this way.
The world record for a Saab 96 at auction is £7,000. Whether we get even close to that figure will partly be down to auctioneer Chris Routledge.
Welcome to the world of Saab.
World of Saab. I'm so pleased because that interior is a knockout.
Do you like it?
Love it.
Right,
It just
what-
gives it a real period quality feel.
Personality.
You know, in terms of selling this car, people are going to buy it just for the trim.
Right.
What's your gut say? How much is it going to make tomorrow?
£4,000 to £6,000.
4 to 6.
4 to 6,000.
Saab-wise, that doesn't seem a lot, but Saab-wise,
Yeah, that's a lot.
96-wise, it's a
Yeah.
lot of money.
That's good.
The car's all in place. The doors can open. A car lover's nirvana. Amongst the Ferraris and Lamborghinis is our humble little Saab. And amongst the visitors today are some special guests. Chris's widow Frida and their children. They've come to say goodbye to the car that Chris loves so much.
How do you remember the car?
Well, not quite like this.
Remember that?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Gosh, it just looks like a new car. It's amazing, actually.
It's not bad, is it?
It's totally amazing.
What do you think Chris would have made of this?
He would be thrilled.
So you think he'd be
Absolutely
chuffed?
thrilled. Absolutely chuffed.
This auction this afternoon signifies something really important. The
Yes.
car's saved, and you get a bit of cash for it. Because
Yeah, that would be lovely.
12 weeks ago, it was probably worth 500 quid. So
Today, 550.
Where can I start bidding, please? At 5,000, 6,000.
78 cars are going under the hammer today. £2.2 million worth of motor. Chris reckons the Saab can make £6,000, a sum and needs it to reach for his professional pride to remain intact.
Lot number 134. I believe we have 3 elephants on the car.
Lot 134, this is your baby.
This is it.
Let's get started then, shall we? On the absolutely adorable Saab with the tartan interior.
Oh, look, you mentioned the tartan interior.
5,000. Lot number 134. £5,000 then. At 5,000 to get me going. 3,000 then come off. At £3,000 for thank you, of course. 3,000, 4,000 anywhere. It's 3,000 here, 4,000. And here, and 3,500, 4,000. 4,500, new money, 5,000.
Come on, it can build. 5. 5.
Come on.
5,500 and 6,000 and 5,500.
It's at 5.5, perfect. That's all right.
And 6,000, absolutely new money. And £6,000 here, 6,500 anywhere. And £6,000 for the wonderful
It
Saab.
looks like we've got 2 people fighting it in the room, someone on the phone. Come on, get over 6
One
grand.
more, one more.
Get over
Come on,
6
one more
grand.
grand.
At 6,500, 7,000 now. Any more?
I think it's on the phone at 6.5 grand. You're happy with 6.5 grand, right?
6.5's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
£7,000.
We got 7. We got 7.
Perfect.
Sold for a Saab 96 at £7,000, 500 anywhere.
It's where it should be.
Any more at 7,250.
7.5 is good.
7.5. We got 7.5. 7.5.
Keep on going. £7,750. Yes, we'll take it. 8,000 now. 8,000 straight in.
We got 8. We got 8. 8.
This is like, we're now well over world records now.
£8,000 for the first time and 8,000. And the second time and £8,000. Sir, it is your car. Well done. 280.
£8,000. This is a world record for a Saab.
Oh, it's great.
Come here, well done.
You're quite good at this, aren't you? This restoration malarkey.
That's as good as you can hope for, isn't it? It's brilliant result.
The buyer of the car is property developer Asif Ansari.
I just thought it just looks so pretty. You know, where can you buy a fully restored car for £10,000 of any make?
What do you think of the interior?
It's interesting. There was some Scottish connection.
We're all down from Edinburgh. My friend Chris sadly had cancer and gave the car up to us to do a couple of wee patches of welding to it, and unfortunately never ever recovered. It got left with us, and Frida, Chris's widow, her brief was, you know, try and find a good home for the car.
Can you turn the camera off a second, please? Thanks. I lost my brother 11 years ago to a brain tumour, and you never recover from it. Thank you. Given what you've just said, we'll put it in the right auction and donate the proceeds to a cancer charity.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do.
It's just better and better, really.
But I'm glad I came now.
Aye.
That's fantastic. It's really good. Thank you.
So our Saab has yet to find its final home. But the 96 was the original Scandinavian sleeper hit that began a quiet, understated and very British love affair with Swedish cars. We've given a home to over 2 million Saabs and Volvos in the last 55 years. A long-term commitment to a distinctive-looking breed that was incredibly strong and that made us feel safe. A love that we could always rely on. Next time, it's off to work we go.
Where's the horn? I don't know. Hey!
As we celebrate the cars that work for a living.
I can't believe we're going to go on a road.
Utter insanity. And built Britain.
Whoa! We're in the wrong lane.
Don't make any difference. We're in a white van. What do you expect?
And we'll be rescuing the 5th most popular British vehicle.
Put it back. Put it back.
The Ford Transit van.
What is it with you? What, the worse state they're in, the happier you are.
But will anyone want our worn-out workhorse?
This van scares the pants off me.
Oh, I love to roam in the hillside. Oh, I love to roam in the land. And the lock of the glen is a fine, fine thing with jojoba in my hair.
What?